Okay, we are live. Hello, everybody. I'm here tonight with a special duo. We got Laura E. Thompson and Timothy Robare. They just finished their collaboration on Mediterranean Waves. It's not out yet, but the QR code does link to the Goodreads for it. How's it going?
Good.
Great.
Whoa. Riveting. Okay, first of all, I've got to ask. Hey, Sindrin's here. I've got to ask, how did this collaboration come together? I have a few other questions coming up, but let's start with the very
I'll
beginning.
start if that's okay, Tim. But
Go for it.
it started because Tim and I have been best friends for like 8, 10 years now, and share everything about our books and our writing and help each other and everything. And I've always wanted to write some special book with each of my tightest friends. That's my goal in life. And I had read several and edited several romance books recently, and kind of remembered how much I like that genre and how much I like stories of women specifically going through changes and stuff and adding that romance into it. So then I got this idea for a story, and I said, but I don't really want to write it alone because I want it to have, a good romance of the man and the woman and some other characters and stuff. And so I was like, how do you feel about writing a spicy romance novel with me? And I don't like have this big speech prepared, like because I think we could do it like this, and we could really help each other. And he's like, okay, yeah, go ahead. Like I'm like, okay, some excitement. Like you don't have to. If you He's like, Laura, for Christ's sakes, just do it. Write the chapter and send it to me. I said, all right, fine. So that's how it started.
Nice.
And then for me, it was a little bit like I love romance. I'm a super sucker for rom-coms and romances. Like P.S. I Love You is my favorite movie and everything. And I've tried to write a couple over time. I kind of lost track of them and lost interest in my own writing of them. Then I've had people, because Laura knows my personal life, and I've had my fair share of promiscuity. And I've had people ask me to write about it. I'm like, no, I don't want to write about my own. That's not fun for me. It's weird. So she brought this to my attention. I was like, yeah, that sounds like a fun way to kind of create a character and a storyline that's like some stuff that I've done and experienced and add it into a book and have not all the pressure on me and also have like a female's take on it. Obviously, male writing like a sexy romantic kind of thing is not the bestseller probably. So having a woman's touch and a woman's take and someone that's not as lazy as I am on board was super helpful.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not that you're lazy, but he definitely writes super fast. He pushed me to do things that I was not didn't think I was capable of doing. And then threw curveballs at me the whole time. So it was like, wait, you're doing what to this character now? Like, what is this? Okay, I guess so.
So do you guys just go back and forth one chapter? You write one chapter and then another
Yeah,
back and forth? Cool.
yeah.
I've
Yeah, and
never
I
done
think I
that way.
annoyed Laura a lot because I'm not I do go really fast. Like she sent me it and I was
Ooh.
like, okay, I'm gonna go. But I didn't I'm a big skimmer, which I think annoyed Laura because Laura is very detail oriented. So she'd be like, did you read that? And I'd be like, well, no, I didn't read it, but I saw it. Because I like I read really fast, so I skim a lot, and I was like, okay, I get the gist of the chapter, and then I would write mine. And it was fine, but Laura would be like, did you actually read the chapter? And I'd be like, well, a fine read.
Well, because I'm expecting like emotions, Oh, did it affect you this way when you read this? And he's like, sure, I guess. I'm like, well, did you read it or not? And meanwhile, I mean, it would take me weeks. It'd take me what, like 2 weeks or something to go through and write a chapter, and I'd be like, you know, painstaking about every little conversation and every little thing. And I'd be like, okay, here, I finally get it to you. And then he'd be back in an hour. He'd send it back to me. And I'm like, why are you sending it back? Well, mine's done. In like 2 hours? What the hell? So then it was on me again. So then I felt all this pressure.
Yeah, some of us are just quick, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, as for getting a woman's opinion, I have a kind of a spicy scene in Kingmaker that I wasn't sure about, and that I had to have my friend who is here, Samantha. I had to run past her to make sure it wasn't corny or cringeworthy, is what I said. Because
Samantha, we love that name. That's our main character.
oh,
It
there you
is
go,
our main
Sam.
character.
Yeah.
Groovy. So with the I got to ask about the pen names now, because you both used a different pen name for this one, but you're using your real names today. Hopefully that doesn't really ruffle any feathers or anything. I'm outing
Well,
you.
we want them to link to us, but yeah, I mean, you can ask your question. I cut you
Oh,
off. Go
no,
ahead.
it's more of a curiosity as to why you guys decided to go with pen names instead of using your
Yeah.
real names for
For
this one.
me, it's just because I like to keep things separated. So, my most of my stuff is under my fantasy name, Laura E. Thompson, and I want that to be just fantasy stuff. And then because this is a totally different genre, and because it's way spicier than anything else that I've written, I kind of felt like it needed its own little spicy name. But we went. That was another thing we kind of talked back and forth about. We weren't quite sure if we wanted to do it or not, but
If
in
by
the end, I
talking back
wore
and
him
forth,
down.
Laura means that she basically harassed me into it. So I was like,
Yeah.
no, it's just my real name. I don't care. And Laura's
I
like,
wore
no,
him
that's
down.
stupid.
Gotta keep it separated.
Mhm.
So when you guys are editing, or I'm assuming that your company edited Mediterranean Waves. That's Writer's
Mhm.
Journey.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
and I don't remember if I linked that in the description. My other videos have it. Anyway, so I'm assuming that your editing team did that. So do you guys edit
Mhm.
your own sections, I assume?
Yeah, so I did developmental stuff with Timmy's help, obviously, because he does it too. So I do it. Say, does this make any sense to you? Pass it back and stuff. We did that part together, and then we passed it to my partner RB to do the line editing, the copy editing, the formatting, and all that fun stuff. And that was interesting because, like I said, this book is pretty darn spicy. It's I would say a 4 on the chili factor. So. Um, and Ari is 20 years older than me, so he's quite a bit older than Timmy. And I'm like, I have no secrets from him either, but at the same time, it's almost like giving my, spicy journal to like an uncle or something. It was like a little weird, and I just thought, oh man. So it was slightly embarrassing, but and he doesn't really like romance either. So when I said to him, "So you're gonna edit this for me, right?" And he's like, "Oh, like do I have to? It's romance."
Nice.
But he did, and he did a good job. He said he kind of did skim through some of the sex stuff because it's just not his thing.
Also, there could be like
But
spelling errors or something in it.
maybe I hope not. He said to me though that the second time through, he's like, okay, it's actually growing on me, and I was able to read it a little more, more detailed. But
I think that was the
Right.
cool part about having a woman and a man work on this was we would give each other feedback throughout the chapters, like, hey, is this because Laura knows that I have an issue sometimes with the way she writes men, because she writes these oozy goozy men. I'm like, oh no.
he
But I
doesn't
also
like
tend to
the
write.
the sweet names that my men give their girls. you know, Babe, hon,
Snooky.
sweetie, yeah,
No,
sweetie.
what is the one I really hate that Cullen uses or Will uses? One of them. I don't know. I hate it. It drives me crazy every time I read it. I'm like, oh.
Sweetheart.
But it was
I think it's
cool. It
sweetheart.
was maybe because I was like, men don't say that often. But it was cool because she would like take down the ultra masculinity of my writing
Mhm.
and make the woman more believable for women, I think. And I would make the man more believable for a male reader. But it's cool because you get that cool blend that it can go either way. It's not geared towards one or the other. I mean, yes, it's more of a woman's like the whole thing is more of a woman's journey, but
Yeah.
the men are also important in it, and you have the men's journey as well. But they're a little bit lower, but it's still cool to have that component.
Yeah.
hmm
I think that'd be quite beneficial, actually. Get
Yeah, and he
inside
threw
view
in
for
characters that I didn't expect either. So the
it.
the main guy that we had, I thought it was going to be just Lucian the whole time, and then he throws in these other characters, and I was like, wait, what? What's happening? Who's this person? And then we talk about it and say, well, what if this person does this, and what if it ends up like that? Whatever. The ending kind of went through some different metamorphosis, right, Tim? It was like it didn't
Yeah.
end the way I think we originally thought, and then it kind of just changed. But
Yeah, I tend to make a lot of twists and turns in general, but usually I'm only dealing with myself. So for Laura, I mean, she knows that I do this. Like I go off
mhm.
and I'm like, well, I'm going to totally alter this storyline out of nowhere. Um, and it actually worked a lot better than either of us thought it was going to, because at first I
Yeah.
think we were both like, we're very different writers. We're very different how we approach things. It's going to be interesting. But actually, the writing part was super easy between us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So,
was.
and the going through it and the communication as far as hey, is this necessary? Hey, what do you think of this? Hey, and we went through quite a few ideas, and it wasn't ever arguments until we get to the cover. The cover was like the biggest issue, but
Yeah.
everything
Let's talk
until then
about
was actually pretty
That's
smooth.
coming.
Yeah, the writing was it only took us 30 days. This is the
Oh,
fastest I've ever written anything in my life.
you
30
guys,
days
you
was
both wrote a book in
crazy
30
fast.
days.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Nice.
And we didn't even really change it that much after. I mean, we edited it and stuff, but the main story I think, is the same. So, yeah, it was
Wow.
pretty crazy. But I had to
Impressive.
I think
laugh too
I
because
did pressure Laura a lot because I was very on
you
her
know,
about like, hey, get it back to me if you want me to write the next one. So
yeah.
because at
I
that
was like,
time I
why are
had
your
just
pants
finished
on fire, man?
at that time I had just finished like one of my Tales books, the first draft of book 5, I think.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to do something else to get my mind off it. So I was having fun writing something that was less intensified and kind of more a different journey for me as a writer to get me out of my fantasy journey. So I was like, Laura, get on it, let's go.
Is
Cool.
I mean, too, Michael, that fantasy is such a intense thing to write. Like, I don't think people realize the world building part of fantasy is so tough. So to
It can be,
do
yeah.
something like this, it's like a breath of fresh air to do something a little bit lighter and not quite as intense detail wise and stuff like that. So it just was easier. It flowed.
To an extent, I actually think this was really, if I found after going through things, this was actually more difficult to me than fantasy because in the way my fantasy world, because we talked about this last time, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's like you build
True.
this, you have a random tower somewhere, it doesn't matter. But if you have one thing out of place that someone has seen or been to and they don't believe
Mhm.
it, then it ruins the book for them
Oh, yeah.
because it's a real place. So you have to have these real logistical things line up, which that was actually probably the hardest part because I've been to Greece and we based off a lot of it off of where I've been. Laura was like, "Well, does this make sense? Does this make sense?" And I was like, "Oh man!" And by the end of it, I still had realized like, "Oh, we got a couple things wrong that I didn't even notice." And it's just, I mean, in fantasy, it doesn't really matter that much as long as it's with your story. But if you're doing these real places, it's like you have to be very authentic and true to them. Otherwise,
Yeah. People will point it out. But like with your background, I mean, you could write a book almost from anywhere in the world. So
but the problem is remembering all those minute details that someone
mm,
that might slip through as a writer. I might know, but as a writer, I might skip or not focus on or even mess up a little. My description might be different than someone else's.
yeah.
So having a description that's going to hit a wide base instead of my personal base is different. Because like I might view say a cliff differently than someone else views rolling hills, or I might view a beach side slightly different than someone else does. So it's
Mm,
like, how do you take your personal vision and make it match how other people view it as well? And that
yeah.
was,
Right.
I found, way more difficult than I had actually anticipated.
Mhm.
How much did you rely on Google at that point? Or did you just
Um,
flip back through your Instagram?
it was a lot of images. I actually kept sending Laura images because she's like, I haven't been here. Send me pictures. So we like went through tons of pictures. And then it was actually asking other people that have been toward the end. I was like, hey, what does this sound like to you? Like, does this make sense? 'Cause I know other people that have been to the area and I have friends there and everything. And they're like, well, that doesn't really make sense the way you worded it. I was like, oh, okay. So,
Well,
And I relied on him for all that because I am not a world traveler. I've never been hardly anywhere. So, you
well,
know, that was all
me
him.
either. I think Arkansas is the furthest east I've ever been. So
Yeah.
that's the only state I haven't been to.
You're not missing
But
much.
we did do part of it in Vermont, so I made it
Yeah, we did.
easier on Laura for that part because
Hey,
part of
yeah.
it does take place where we grew up. So
Yep.
Same. So
I
you
don't
guys,
know if people know that we grew up in the same area.
yeah, that's what I was about to
Different,
same
ask.
little
totally
island.
different town, but yeah.
Huh? It's a small world.
Totally different time periods though. I didn't know him back then, and I was in the 90s, he was in the whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know how old you are,
2000s.
but yeah, we never knew
I'm
each other
ageless.
there. We met each other on Facebook, like, many, many, many years later,
Through
so it
a
happened to be
mutual
for the
friend
same.
from the island, actually.
Yeah,
That's around Laura's age, I think, because they knew each other and I knew her because
8 years
the islands
difference.
are not very big. So,
Okay.
and
Yep.
I had talked to her about writing, and then she's like, "Well, do you know Laura? Because she's an author." And I was like, "Huh?" I was like, "I don't know who that is." So she connected us, and then yeah,
Yep.
Cool. That is really interesting. Actually, it's kind of cool that you guys grew up in the same spot.
And it
Different
was
time
yeah,
neat
and
to
periods.
didn't
write
know each
about
other.
Vermont too, because then obviously we've both been to all the places. He was more familiar with the mountain area than I was because I grew up on the lake, and we didn't go to the mountains much. I mean,
Yeah.
we weren't big into skiing or anything, so we hardly ever went there. So
Now I'm jealous. I didn't have a lake. I didn't have anything
yeah, I
interesting.
love
Well,
it.
I did have the mountains right next to me, but
You
anywho.
have the Alpine lakes that you can't even touch.
Oh,
Yeah.
here.
Yeah,
I'm originally from Utah. I was born and raised in Ogden, and I guess we had Pineview
Oh, cool.
Reservoir, but eh,
and the Salt Lake.
well, yeah, until you smell it first thing in the morning. So,
Yeah, I kayaked it, and it was pretty
Ew.
gross.
ew,
But
you kayaked it? That
yeah,
is,
I went out on like a 4-hour kayak journey, and I was like, "Oh, it was cool because I always wanted to do it." But by the time I got back, I was like, "Okay, I'm ready to be off of this."
yep. Especially during the summer when that sun hits that water and that dead salty brine smell goes all the way from Salt Lake to Ogden, and yeah, it's an experience. I don't think I'd ever
Yeah.
swim or kayak in it,
Yep.
but I know it dies in there. um, anyway, so like when you, yeah, with you guys using two different pen names, do you guys have two separate accounts on Amazon to sell it, or how does that all work for marketing?
No, so I created our joint socials accounts and a link tree for them so that the link tree connects to our regular websites and our regular socials. So everything will connect. We're gonna have to do Amazon pages, I think, author pages for the pen names too. But then we can both claim the book as ours, and then I just have it all set it up on my KDP to publish it, and he'll trust me to give him his half of the royalties.
It's a lot of trust.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I'm pretty trusting, and I'm not like I'm not like a money hound or anything. I'm not trying to sniff it out. A lot of this was something fun and experience. And if there's money involved, cool. And I trust Laura with my life. I mean, she's probably been the biggest help of my whole writing journey. So
Oh,
doing this with her was really special, and trusting her is super easy. If it was someone off the street that was like, "Hey, we're gonna write a book together, and you're gonna trust me with your money," maybe I'd be less trusting. But yeah, and we split like half the marketing. I do a lot of
Yep.
the marketing designs, and we split the socials basically down the middle. So we're doing different social medias
mm,
that I'm on and that
Cool.
she's on. So all of that's actually all been super easy as well for the most part.
cool. Yeah, I was on Instagram and I got a weird instant message from some account I've never seen before. It's like, it took me a second. I'm like, who the hell is this?
Yeah,
Then it
it
dawned
was
on me. I'm
me.
like, oh,
I totally forgot to. I should have switched to the other account, and I forgot, and I was just like, "Oh well, he'll figure it out."
some weirdo sliding into my DMs.
Yes,
So
I'm aware
that's
doing that.
yeah. So um, how likely are you guys to do something similar again in the future? And if you
Oh,
do,
very
would it
likely.
still be like, would you still do spicy stuff, or would you like try different markets or what? Different genres?
You go, Tim.
I'd like to keep it somewhere around the same. I am interested in trying a romantasy type of thing, but I know that's adding a new sword to the
Yeah.
dance. I'm also totally. I mean, we both have now sent each other like three different ideas of a new novel. It's just Laura doesn't have her laptop at the second. I'm
Yeah.
working on 3 different things at the moment, but I'm definitely open to doing another one. I know she is. We've talked about it a lot, so it's just
Yep.
kind of figuring one that grasps us both. She's actually working on one right now that I'm probably going to hop on and work on with her once she gets her
Yep.
laptop back. So
Yeah.
there's probably another one coming relatively soonish.
Oh,
It's the big thing for us is always the editing part that takes longer because I don't like to, bombard my partner with my stuff. I mean, he's got stuff, he's a writer too. He's got stuff of his own that he's trying to finish and has been trying to finish for like 2 years. And so I feel guilty every single time I send him something of mine and I say, can you just do this for me? And of course he says yes. But then he puts his own stuff aside. So I feel bad.
oh, I know
Um,
that feeling all too well.
yeah. But I
It's-
told him he'll be editing my stuff for till the end of his days because I have like, I don't know, a dozen or more things sitting on the shelf right now that need editing and are finished. They're totally finished books. They just need editing. So,
Nice.
and more
Let's
coming.
see. Neil put the link to writersjourney.com. Thank you very much, Neil.
Oh, thank you.
So is there, like right now it's not available for pre-order or anything. You're just using ARC readers right now, right?
Right.
Okay,
Yep.
and how does that all work? So do you have like a
Um,
future date set for release or?
yeah. The release date is March 20th, which is should we tell them why? It's
Or
on the
You,
pagan holiday not Beltane, Ostara, right? And uh, because that is the holiday of love and relationships and sex, so
right.
we're like, oh, there we go,
That
perfect.
works.
It's the
You heard it
holiday
here
that
first,
celebrates
folks.
spring. So, yep, it celebrates spring and all of that goes into spring. So we're like, hey, this works. So we'll do
Yeah.
that for the release date. But for the art
also
stuff,
spring is horny season,
Yeah.
so
it is.
okay,
That's where we're
it's like
counting
mating
us.
season.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the art thing was brand new to me. I don't know if Tim's done it before, but I never did. So we were kind of just trying it out, set up a link, and everybody said to do it through BookFunnel, so that's what I did. And then just set up our sign up sheet thing on our link tree, and then just advertised it through our socials. And we got about 32 or 33 people signed up. So not too
Nice.
bad. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, so
Laura
far,
was more trying to get to the masses, and I was trying to get the popular like book talkers and bookstagrammers.
Yeah.
So I was like
Hopefully we got
not
them.
cold DMing because I follow them and like they know me, but I was kind of cold DMing them, being like, "Hey, if you're looking for this," because I know what they like.
Hmm.
And I've talked to some of them, so I was like, "Hey, I have this if you're interested," because they have big followings and they do this often. So I was hitting more like small, like precision arcs to
Yeah.
hopefully build it, and she was like everywhere in groups posting it. So kind of on different ends again. So another kind
Yeah.
of attempted balance.
It seemed like it worked. You guys collected quite a few arcs, and it's currently it's at 4.7 on Goodreads. Awesome.
Good.
Let's see. Jennifer says, "Is Laura wearing a Lake Champlain shirt? Champ,
Yes, I
Loch Ness
am.
monster for Vermonters."
Yep.
Oh, I should have worn my Vermont shirt.
Yep, Jennifer's
It's
from
my
that
comfy
area.
shirt.
I don't know. I don't think she wasn't in Vermont. I think Jennifer was in Boston. Close.
Oh, okay. I lived in Boston for near Boston for 15 years, so very familiar with Mass.
Never been there. I don't go anywhere.
I drove to Boston to go to a lot of my overseas trips because there's no airport near us.
Well, there you go. Drove through. Can you tell us anything about the book before it comes out?
Sure. What do you want
Oh,
to know?
whatever you're willing to share without being a spoiler.
All right.
We know that it's there's a lot of
I'm terrible at not
Thompson.
spoiling, so I'll try. So the story revolves around Samantha, who is youngish. She's 35. Girl originally from Vermont, lives in New York, and she is just getting out of a weird online relationship with this total narcissistic asshole. And I don't use that term lightly. Like, he's an actual narcissist if you look up the term.
Mm.
So he has that disorder. So she describes a little bit in the beginning, but you don't get the full story until partway through the book about how it actually was. But there's a little here and there. But she had this really bad relationship with this guy online, and he kind of tore her apart and made her question herself in a lot of ways. And so she's trying to heal that heart, her broken heart, and then learn to kind of, I don't know, be able to trust life and people again and open herself back up to love. So her roommate and best friend tells her she needs to go away and get far away and do some time alone to heal. So she takes this trip to Greece, where she meets our main man, Lucian. And we can say he's loosely based on Timmy. But yeah, he kind of is he's a free spirit. He's a, you know, world traveler. He's a don't take life too seriously. You know, you're thinking too much kind of a guy. So he really encourages her to like just have fun and have a good time, not think about things. You know, let that past go. Um, you know, see the beauty in the world as it is, kind of
Laura,
thing.
you are
And
giving too much. Too
sorry.
much.
We want people to read the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't want to paraphrase the whole thing. Okay, all you all need to know is there's multiple lovers, hot, sexy scenes, a lot of adventure, and everything else that Laura just said.
Nice.
Yep.
And that's is it? Are you going to do a pre-order, or does it actually get released on March 20th?
It's released on March 20th. I'm gonna try to do a pre-order, but I don't have my laptop, so I
Right.
can't set it up.
Well, as soon as you do, let me know. I will try sharing the link for you.
Yeah, thanks.
I'll push it up for you. Jennifer says I was in Hanover, New Hampshire. That's right.
Oh, okay. So right smack in between Boston and Vermont.
Yep. Never been there. Like I said, I don't travel well. Anyway, so Case, I've been wanting to ask about the cover of your book for quite some time. Because I saw like 8 different versions at one point, and then like you posted a bunch more on Threads, and like 2 of them I didn't see before. And
You
none
want
of
me to
them were
start this one?
the ones that I picked. The
No,
vote.
no.
Me neither, if that counts. That was
Later.
actually like the biggest nightmare headache. We actually fought, like argued,
Yeah.
and we were both talking to RB because he liked split. He was split. He liked a couple that I really liked, and then he liked a couple that Laura liked. And he like him and I, we had a same opinion on a couple that Laura hated
Mhm.
because we both been to Greece and we love Greek stuff. So for us, it was like, oh yeah, make it Greek. And then this is where like the book caused an issue is I had a very different view of the book than Laura had, which impacted the cover because my view was different than her view, which was different than RB's outside view. So we had 3 different views, 3 different mindsets going in, and me and RB were like, let's create 1,000 covers of everything that we could have.
And it was too.
And then Laura was getting super, super pissed about it.
Well, it was for me. It was just way too much. I was like, this is too many choices. You know, narrow it down.
Yeah, and me and RB got kind of mystical about it. We were like, let's put Greek columns. Let's like make her look like a goddess. Let's do this. And Laura was like, this is stupid. And
well,
and then at one point Laura was like, I quit. I don't want to do anything with you guys. And then we got over that. And then I was like, screw this. I don't care. Take my name off it. Do whatever you want to do.
I was gonna say it was pretty even there, buddy. So it was just me.
Oh, I'll take my own. I know I got super pissy. I got hella diva. I was like, I'm done. Take my name off. I don't even care.
Yeah. So then, but it did spark that discussion about the genre too, which was and the type of story that it is, which ended up being a really important discussion. That's still sort of, I don't know. We get different views on it because it doesn't follow your typical kind of girl meets boy, girl loses boy, girl gets boy back, they get married. Like, it's not that kind of romance. It's much more, I think, real. There's realism in it. There's unusual relationships, and I don't know. So you get the people that are used to that formula, and they're gonna say, well, it's not romance because it doesn't follow that. But then you get people who like realistic characters, realistic romance. You know, they like the messy relationships, and they're like, yeah, it is. What are you talking about? So it's very split. And then I had a lot of people that say, well, if it's really the woman's journey and the men are kind of backstory characters, then it's women's lit or women's fiction. And so it like blew us away because this is our first time in a contemporary genre.
Mm.
So we're just like, okay, so now what? And I was saying to the guys, like, the cover has to reflect what the genre we're going with is, though. Like, if we're going with saucy, uh, you know, like typical romance, you get like a half naked guy on the cover and it's fine. But if you don't want to give that vibe, then we got to pick something else. And so it turned into a nightmare. And then there was a lot of, well, we can't decide between the three of us, so we're going to ask the masses. And then that was kind of worse, I think. I don't know if that was
Yeah,
worse.
because
Yeah,
it was
that was very complicated.
it was
Yeah.
way different on Discord than it was on Threads, and it was just
Mm-hmm.
I was lost. I don't know
Yeah.
what's
Well, and
going
her
on
threads
now.
was
We
different
were
than my thread. We had totally different vote counts, and then RV had totally different vote counts. So it was like us trying to tally up all these vote counts from totally different readers, right? We had specific like romance contemporary readers to fantasy readers to people that don't really read and like just wanted their opinion to see how it would go.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost made things worse because then we had
Yeah.
so many different outside perspectives, and we still didn't know exactly. We still don't even know what genre we fall in technically because P.S. I Love You is romance, but the guy dies like before the movie actually even technically starts. In a way, the guy dies, but it's still romantic. And you have readers that they have this very fine line where they want this, they expect this, and Laura likes real people on covers. I told her that I would refuse. I said that's the one thing I will not do is a real person on a cover because I think it's cheesy and ugly, and it's not timeless.
See, I was thinking throw a blonde wig on you topless on a cover.
Yeah, there you go. I wanted him on the cover, and he didn't want that. So
No, we thought about it, and then I was like, but then we're just going to blend in with all the others. You're going to go into a shop, and your
yeah.
cover's not going to stand out. You're going to be one of the millions of half-naked covers where you could
Mhm.
have like this really beautiful cover that's a work of art because at the end of the day, to me, this is a work of art. Another cover issue was to Laura, it's only a woman's journey, which the book is. I've learned that okay, the book is a woman's journey, but because I identify so much with the male, it was hard for me, and I think the males are important. And so it was the cover brought in all these convoluted things that had not come up during the writing. So it was like smooth, 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 and all of a sudden a tempest, and it was like
We wrote a book in 30 days. It took you 2 months to pick a cover.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. The cover was so much more stressful and so much more work, and bruh, it was
there was a lot of
crazy.
insults flung.
Yeah.
So how'd you
There
guys?
was points where I was like ignoring Laura.
I swear like
Laura
a
was
sailor
super
when I'm
mean.
mad, so a lot of F-bombs.
Laura got super stressy and like intense and treated me like a child almost, and I was like, I'm so over this. And I acted like a child too.
You
I was
acted
like, I'm
like
done.
So how'd you guys
I do
pick? How'd you guys stick with the newest cover here, the one that's on the screen right now?
We met in the middle. After days of harassment and anger and frustration and days of not talking at all, we ended up. I didn't like the painting from the cover that they liked, and that most of the people that voted liked. And I was like, no, I hate that. It's not what I want. And it didn't match the book to me. So then, after everything calmed down, Laura and I talked, and she was like, if you can find something that we can use that matches what you think and I like it, then we'll go from there. So I went through, I think, 10 images, sent them. She sent them to Mike. We messed around with it, and then it ended up being a blend of what we both could accept. Basically, it wasn't like the covers were never what we both wanted. It was what can we both accept as a cover that works for both of us. So
yeah,
Well,
totally.
I think it came out
I mean,
nice.
we have to thank RB is the cover artist, and he works for us, obviously, Writer's Journey. So he is like some sort of, I don't know, God with patience between. He was like the dad trying to calm down these two screaming kids, and we're like stamping our feet, and in the hard dirt. No, I'm not moving. And then he's like, "Okay, guys, let's just try this. What about this one? Let's try this." And Timmy was saying he's talking to him like on the side or whatever, but he was doing the same to me. So we're messaging back and forth. I'm like, "Come on, you gotta agree with me on this, right?" And he's like, "Well, I see your point, but what about this other thing? And he has a good point about this." I'm like, "Okay." So, he just totally calmed us
He
down.
was very in the middle. I think him and I had a very similar view of what we thought would be a good cover. And I think Laura toned us down to what would match the genre more into the female readers.
Mhm.
I think he and I were more on like masculine Greek based covers, and then Laura kind of like was like no, and then the votes happened and hit the two covers that him and I really liked were up there, but they weren't the top. Well, one of them was the top two, but this one was the top one, and then we altered it to fit. So it
Yeah.
was definitely a journey.
Yeah.
I will say, so we have, like we said, we have plans to write more novels together, but I am not looking forward to the cover part, and I might just have to not be involved in
Yeah.
that
Just have somebody just
because
make a cover blindly.
yeah, exactly. Well, the thing is too, so Timmy's very artistic. So for him, he said he wants it to be artistic. My idea of art is not at all like the same.
Yeah.
So it's just tough. I don't know. Artistic eyes are very different.
Yeah. I mean, it's very subjective. For me, I
Oh,
want I want it to be like a standalone, original, like you look at this, you know what it is type of art. Because
Mhm.
originally I did think we did talk about just putting me half naked on the cover. And like, yeah, I was like, oh, that's such a cool idea. Everybody can stare at me and treat me like a god. I love it. Adore me. But then after writing it, I was like, man, this story doesn't feel like just a story now. It feels like a really big piece of me.
yeah.
And as an artist and someone that spent their university time in writing, I was like, I need this to reflect who I am as a person now, and the artist form of me, not some cheap sale technique. No offense to anybody that likes
No.
that or does that. It's totally fine. To me, it just would cheapen my work. So I don't mean it in like a disrespectful way.
Oh. No, everybody has their own opinions on stuff. There's a lot of things that a lot of people think are popular that I can't stand. But I don't think I think the cover came out nice. I like the colors to it. It's not the one I preferred on the list, but I
Well,
like
what
it.
did you prefer?
Yeah.
Oh, God, as well. I'm trying to remember. There was one with the pillars because it's like you voted for three, I think, was it? You picked three of your
Mm.
favorites. That was one of them,
Mhm.
but I can't remember the other
Was it the
two.
blue one or the one with the water background?
I think it was one with the water background because I
Okay.
love water sceneries. I love deep purples and stuff like that. And so I remember that one
That
stands
was
out.
Mike's favorite, and he was or RB's favorite, and he was really pushing it. I liked it too. Laura did not like it, and then a lot of voters liked it. But then we got the votes, and Laura was like, "No."
It's
But
all
I
right.
actually
Interesting for
I
me.
agreed with her
To
reasoning
me,
by the end.
Well,
yeah, to me it looked too masculine. So I didn't think it was gonna connect to women enough.
I can see that. Okay, so I got a question here from Jennifer. Will Tim be reading spicy excerpts out loud for us
Yes,
from a
please. Come
bathtub?
on, Tim.
Of course.
You
And
gotta do it.
that's on your TikTok, right?
Yep.
And I believe everybody here already has that.
But you need
If
to
you
share
don't,
it
it's
on
author T.
Instagram too.
Robare. But
Um,
yes, I will definitely do that. I might have to trim my leg hair or something so it's a little more sexy. But
do it by candlelight. Boom.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, Neil says, "Hey, this is the first time or first live where I didn't mention someone being half naked first." Right? Neil's one of your fans. Um, yeah. So I can only imagine what what the future covers are going to be like. I don't mean to laugh.
Dude.
I don't know the way Tim
Oh.
described it when he was on in January. It was funny. So I had to.
I,
How to put a
I
pin in
actually think
that.
it might be better the second time around. 'Cause I think now we both have more of an understanding of what we do want and don't want.
Mm.
I think we now know how we made it more stressful on each other, and how to work with RB better, maybe to. But I say that, but I also thought that before, so we might
I
end
was
up
gonna say,
like,
Well, it's been some
you're
time. You can look back and laugh at it now because it is, if you think about it, it is kind of a funny story. So,
oh, it's hilarious.
it's just
Now I look
it's
back, I'm like,
oh
wow, we
yeah,
were so bitchy to each
we
other
were
and so
totally
crabby.
children. Yeah.
nice.
You're a glass half full kind of guy though, Tim. I'm like, yeah, I just wait for it. I don't think it's gonna be pretty. I don't think it's ever gonna be pretty, just because we're different with that whole thing. But we'll see.
Yeah, that's actually even been one of the hard parts, even with arcs and stuff, is Laura's very down and very like blah blah blah, and also crazy stubborn, my way or no way.
Yeah.
And I'm very
Fine.
like
It's not
optimistic, and
that
I'm like
bad.
sometimes you got to take a step back and just be okay and like ride it out. And for like 2 weeks now, I've been like, Laura, relax. Um, she's like really intense, and I'm really not a very intense person. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm very laid back.
Yeah,
So
except that you are with weird stuff though, and then I
that's true.
get mad when you're not intense about the things that I'm intense about, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? Why
Yeah.
aren't you at this level with me right now?
That's true.
So it's kind of funny when you think about it. You two have like completely different views on how to structure something, but you guys you wrote a book in 30 days. Um, how much was there like much conflict while you were writing the book itself, aside from the cover, or did you guys just
No,
mesh together really well?
None whatsoever.
no,
That
Yeah,
is,
it actually meshed surprisingly well because we have totally opposite writing styles even.
yeah.
yeah,
I have a very dominantly traditionally masculine writing style,
Hmm.
and Laura
hmm
has a rather feminine writing style traditionally.
Yep. I've
So
read
totally
parts of both
opposite
books.
writing styles.
yeah.
Yeah, so
And
it
actually,
was
it's interesting because I've had readers say that they couldn't tell it was written by two people, that it blends together, so the writing blends together so well that
oh,
unless you know us, you can't tell, which is
nice.
awesome. That means that we did our job.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Um,
For RB could tell. RB
yeah,
read it, and
Yes,
he's like, I
RB
could
could tell.
tell. He could tell who wrote what, which is funny.
Yeah.
yeah, everybody has their own little nuances when they word choices and stuff that they use. So, Jennifer says, let's see, he thinks saying relax will calm a woman down. Yeah, I've gone the rounds with Jennifer about that. Relax and calm down, set her off. So I just say them anyway. So
Well, I wouldn't say it to like an actual partner because I've learned my lesson with that. But
I
Mhm.
Laura's like
haven't.
like my Laura's like my homie bro. We like know everything about each other, so I
Yeah.
think we treat each other like I know you, like shut up, or why aren't you mad, or like why are you mad? So it's almost like a sibling
Yeah, I was
thing
gonna
more
say
than
more
like
like
a
siblings. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the
yeah.
older
So
sister he gets annoyed with. I nag.
yeah. So
But
for
you
me,
know,
like I wouldn't say relaxed like to a partner that I you know want to have relations with because I know how that turns out. I've experienced that a lot of times. But for
mm.
Laura, because she's like so high energy with like stress and intensity that I'm just like, it's gonna be okay. It's like almost like a pat in the head, which I also know is irritating.
Yes, the condescending
Nice.
pat.
That's awesome.
Yes, he condescending pats me from all the way across the US on the other side.
Yeah, where are you at now?
Yeah.
Are you back
Me?
home? Yeah, are you back home, Tim?
No, I'm in Portland.
Ah. Were you in Portland last in January? Is that where you
Yeah, I've
live,
been here
or?
for yeah, I moved here like 2 years ago.
Oh,
Because
so
before I actually was only like 30 minutes away from Laura again. That's another weird part. Is we grew up on the same island, didn't know each other. Laura ended up moving to South Carolina. I ended up moving to North Carolina, and it turned out that we were only 35 minutes apart,
yeah.
which is super weird to go from a little tiny area the island's literally 10 miles big, 10 miles long, 10 miles big. And then
He's a
we
writer.
weren't even, yep. I'm a writer, not a talker.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
And then we ended up being super close to each other again for the year and a half I lived there, which was super. It was just totally random because she's like, "Where do you even live?" And I told her, and it turned out we were crazy close.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was bizarre though because we didn't see each other much. You know, like we talked every single friggin' day, but hardly ever saw each other when he lived here. And then he's like, "Oh, we're moving out." I said, "What? We didn't even get to do anything. We didn't get to go hiking. We didn't get to hang out. Like, really?"
Now you guys are on opposite sides. You're like,
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, almost as far apart as you can get.
Yeah, pretty close.
Mhm.
I mean, we communicate. I communicate with Laura more than I communicate with almost anybody because
Yeah.
we're always talking
Same.
about books, or Laura's complaining to me, or we're talking about dirty things.
Relationship.
Not to each other. Not to each other. I'm telling her my dirty escapades or whatever throughout
Oh.
time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty much, or yeah, relationship drama, whatever is happening. So we talk a
Yeah.
lot. Laura has made it very clear that I can be very irritating, which I already knew, but Laura likes to tell me.
I do.
Nice.
And I also tell you I love you all the time, so come on, it's
It's
fine.
true.
Yeah.
And that I'm funny.
Even it
So it's
evens
okay.
out. You're a pain in the ass, but I love you.
You guys have
That's
such
my
a
message.
you guys have such an awesome relationship. Which piques a question. I don't know. Well, yeah, why not? Okay, so you guys wrote a spicy book together. What did your significant other think of that? Like writing with somebody else? None?
Totally fine.
Well,
Yeah,
does he like
no.
does he read it at all?
Dan knows. I met Dan, and me and Dan actually have talked
Yeah.
about some pretty like not intimate like sexual things, but like intimate relationship things and deep things. So I think early on when Dan didn't know me, he was like, "Oh, I don't know, like it's kind of not way before writing. He was maybe a little bit weirded out, but then he and I had talked, and Laura explained things to him, and Dan's been totally cool with
Yeah.
me the whole time. We know each other pretty well. We know some deep parts of each other,
Yeah.
and I think there's an understanding there. And I think now he knows because he might have been weirded out at first that I'm so open about sexual things and everything. So maybe it weirded him out at first. But I think
Not really.
after Laura explained, yeah, maybe not. But after, he knows who I am and our relationship, how we are, he didn't care. And then nobody has a choice for me. Anytime I've ever dated anybody, been with anybody, I make it very clear who I am.
Mhm.
I'm very in your face and blunt, northeastern. I don't hide myself. So any partner has always had to be okay with who I am as a person. I also would never change my friendships, especially my deep ones, for anybody. I'd be like, I'm always like, hey, suck it up.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah. I think that whole thing of male and female people cannot be platonic friends is just bullshit.
I
It's
think so
such
too.
bullshit.
I've
I
grown
mean,
up. I got along way better with most women than I ever did with men. Um,
yeah.
most men, when I was growing up, I couldn't stand. So I had a lot of female friends growing up. So I still do actually.
I've
I can,
always gotten along better with females, but they have to not make me horny. And I mean that in the best way. I can't be physically attracted because I'm just a
Yeah.
little
You're
dog.
young. Yeah, you're young.
But like I do like the emotional depths of my female friends. I can get really deep, intimate. And I've found some of my male friends I can, but mostly my gay male friends. Growing up growing up where we grew up, there's not that many people. It's mostly very hardcore, and I love my rednecks back home, but it's mostly very hardcore redneck men that I obviously probably was friends with them, but I didn't always fit in with them.
Yeah, I could see that.
So we did a lot of things together, and I was friends with them and cool with them, but I couldn't have deep conversations. They definitely didn't talk about emotions very much. I couldn't watch a rom-com with them for sure.
Oh no.
So hanging out with girls and like when I used to drinking wine and watching Disney movie or watching PS I Love You and eating ice cream and stuff, that was where I was at, and I never felt the need to be that ultra masculine straight dude.
Yeah.
So I've always been that borderline, like, oh, he's feminine, is he gay or not person? Which I'm not, but
No.
Not that there's
but a
anything
lot
wrong
of
with that.
guys they find no, there's not. But a lot of guys were like, oh, are you gay? Are you not gay? And it's like just because I like good smelling things and I, take care of myself and I wash my feet doesn't make me gay.
The
So
George
it was like a
Carlin.
weird thing with
Yeah, well, the George Carlin in me was like Bend over, let's find out. Sorry. I grew
Well,
up in a
I
different
would say
era.
that
So
sometimes. I would make those jokes sometimes. I think that's probably why people thought that, because I've never like followed those boundaries, which was part of why me and Laura wrote the book the how we did, because we were like, we don't want to follow those stereotypical boundaries of how things should be.
yeah.
We
Yeah.
want to explore like life as we view it. And I kind of, I think probably that comes from our past. That comes from my past with that, and not always being comfortable with dudes because dudes weren't comfortable with me. And for Laura, how she grew up and how she thought a relationship should be a certain way and was very strict about it. And I think the two of us coming together with that and our views changing over time and everything, like, really made the book fun. And that's a big part of why we wrote it.
We've grown as people and changed
Yeah.
over and over, really. I mean, I feel like both of us have had times where our personalities have changed quite a bit, and we've gone through personal stuff, and because we confide in each other over a lot of things, it helped to then say, hey, I'm going through this thing, or I went through this and now I'm feeling whatever, and the other person helps them through it, and we used all that emotion, all that relatable, you know changing in your life. We try to throw that into our books, not just this one, but I mean, for me, and I think for Tim too, we always tend to write relationships that are complicated, characters that are complicated, and non-predictable and inclusive. That's the big thing. We're both very inclusive people. We both believe in different types of love and relationships in all different types of forms, and we're sex positive people, so we wanted to put that into this book too. Like, it's okay to be that way, and like, I don't know, I get sick of the stereotypes of women where it's, you're either in the slut category or you're in the virgin category, and like, you're not allowed to be anything else. And I mean, to me, I'm like, anybody, but especially women, are able to and should be allowed to do whatever they want with their own hearts and their own bodies and stuff. So we try to encourage that too. And like I said, in my witches book, it's the same thing. Like, I have characters that go through similar changes, and this is just more contemporary setting. So, but
And I'm
we
all
agree on
about
that
free
stuff.
love. I've always been about free love. And when I met Laura, she was basically like a Puritan almost in her thoughts. And I would
I don't know
I
about
would tell her
Puritan.
stories, or I would tell her like my views, and she'd be like, "No, that's not how it works." And I would be like, "Well, it's how it works for me, because as long as I can remember, I've been about free love. I've been about, the complexities of human nature with sex, love, emotion, lust, whatever you want to call it, and all these nine categories that people put themselves into. And for me, I'm all about like expression, doing what you need to do within regards of people's peace and kindness. Obviously, Valkyrie, you're not supposed to open the door.
Well, somebody
He's
opened
taught
his
me a
door.
lot too. He's encouraged me to kind of go outside my comfort zone and think about things different ways and stuff. So yeah, and I hope I rein him in. That's my goal because he needs somebody to rein him in.
The wild child.
So I nag him into submission.
Nice. I've never heard anybody nag into submission before.
People try. I'm pretty rebellious, and I am very wild and all over the place. So people always try to rein me in, but I'm always up in the clouds for the most part.
Nice. Well, does anybody have any questions before we call it a night? It's 7:53. That's thank you guys for being on the show. It was a lot of fun. Is there anything else you'd like to let the viewers know?
Ellie Minx and TJ Fox. That's where you're gonna find us, and that's where all of our socials are gonna be.
Yep.
So we're on Threads, Instagram. Where else?
Did you have a link tree, right? Do you have a link tree for the two of you together? That I didn't get in the description. So if Neil can grab that real quick for me, that would be awesome. If Neil's still here. So we can expect to see some bathtub excerpts.
Yep. Maybe some sexy posters. If the book sells well, maybe I'll do some sexy posters.
Oh, there you go.
Or maybe I'll come up with some kind of like dirty signature.
Start doing a calendar for next year. Different
Yeah,
poses
there
for
you
the
go.
book.
That would actually be hilarious. That would
You
be.
got all those pictures from Greece. It would work perfectly.
Yeah.
That's
Put those
true.
as the background.
I just think of my niece or my sister viewing it randomly. I'm like, oh.
Oh.
Tell them to close their eyes. It's fine.
It's like when my son read a part Kingmaker in Kingmaker. I only have the one scene in Kingmaker, and it made him blush. And so it was a little weird having my kid read it.
Well, my family always asks me questions about what I'm writing, and when my family started reading my Tales book, I was like, oh my gosh, like you guys don't understand like how messed up my mind is. I don't think, and you're gonna read some crazy shit in this. And my mom is super Christian, so she's like, when it gets to the incest in the book and stuff, she's gonna be like, oh my gosh. So when she asks me about this book, I'm gonna be like, She does like Outlander and stuff, but I don't know if I want my mom reading my spicy book, but
Yeah.
or at least not telling me about it. If she wants to read it, fine, don't tell me. But she likes.
Here's where you
I
got it
found out my whole
wrong.
family like. Yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
found out my whole family likes Outlander and stuff, and a lot of them are like, I would never picture that. So when they ask me, I'm gonna have to be like, there's spice, and if you read it, just please don't tell me.
Okay, so Neil got the link tree for Ellie Thompson 06. I don't think that's the one you're talking about, though, right?
Yeah.
That's
No, it's let's see if I can get hold on one second.
oh, no problem. Trying to think, is there anything else? I was really interested about the cover, so
LE Minx _ TJ Fox authors on Linktree.
so hopefully Neil got that and she can link it real quick for us. That'd be awesome. And then once she gets it, after the show, I'll put it in the description for anybody watching the replay. Shan L. Scott says, I made it. Hello. As we're leaving.
Better late
Okay,
than
still
never.
here at least.
So let's see, you guys both have your own books going on. Whose is coming up first?
Think mine.
Yeah, I think
Because
so.
you just had the second Tales of Battle come out. It's the third one coming out soon, right?
Yeah, at the end of the year, hopefully, depending on Writer's Journey schedule, because they have a lot going on, and I also don't like pressuring them to do all my work. So I've been fine tuning. I've learned to fine tune as much as possible to save them work, and they're super helpful and they're very giving to me and very kind. So I try to do them the same when they're low. I'll give it to them. But when they're busy, I try to stay out of their way as much as possible.
Unless it's your book
But yeah,
they
I think
clamor on.
yeah. I let Laura pester RB about that, not me. I stayed out of that part.
When's your next book coming out, Laura?
So I wrote several last year. Obviously, this is one, and then I co-wrote another one with another friend. I think it was a year and a half ago now, and I haven't even finished hers yet in terms of the editing. So I think that's going to be the next thing, and I'm hoping I can get that out in the summertime, maybe spring or summer, probably summer. And
Cool.
that's a YA paranormal fantasy. It's cute. I read it to my
And then
son.
she's working on Witches 4 because I keep telling her I need it.
5.
So
Yeah.
5, sorry. I can't count, guys. I told you I'm a writer.
Good.
But I've been pestering her because A, she based another character off of me, but B, because at the end of the last one, finally something happened that I needed to happen. So now I actually I want it. So, but she's so busy editing and stuff all the time. She's working like crazy. Meanwhile, I'm at work writing. So I have the slight advantage with that is I sit at work and I write at the same time, which is I hope nobody that I work with will ever watch this. But
hey, that's how I started my career. Actually, that was
my
working at the school
Witches
dish.
one is halfway through, but I've sort of hit a block, and I know where it's going, but I'm sort of I don't know. I'm not scared to write it, but dreading writing that part. So I just have put it off.
Then some of Mediterranean Wave starts bleeding into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Little
exactly.
much. Well, thank you very much. Hopefully, I can have you guys back on the show again, whether together or by yourselves. Always a pleasure having either one of you on. Mediterranean Waves will be out March 20th. The QR code will take you to the Goodreads. As soon as they have a link for it, I will share it on all the socials, including YouTube. So, thank you guys very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Enjoy your world travel.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'll be in New Zealand in a week and a half if anybody wants to know.
You have
So
you're gonna take pictures of that, right? That's going on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I've always wanted to go to New Zealand. I don't like spiders. So well,
I don't mind
have,
spiders anymore.
I don't have arachnophobia, like I told Shan here. It's not an arachnophobia, it's I don't like spiders that I can ride. So I have no intention of going to Australia.
I'm gonna take a video of me riding a spider now.
Oh,
I'm gonna find the biggest spider and I'm gonna ride it. I'm gonna post our book next to it. Yeah. But no, I mean Lord of the Rings, Tolkien's whole world. I'm gonna be in fantasy heaven.
I'm looking forward to seeing that on Instagram. Alrighty. I guess we can wrap this up. Thank you guys again, and as soon as I have a link, I'll share it.
Thanks.
I love you all.
Yeah. Bye.
We love you too. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.